Would you look at the time, ladies and gentlemen? It's Inconsummate time. I don't know what made me think of that opener. It's actually 9 in the morning, so whatever. Fuck you! We're going back to this. Just been slamming out these videos as at least once per day. And the idea is, hopefully I'll be able to finish the whole playing part of this campaign before I go back to playing Hydra a lot, because otherwise it'll be really difficult for me to come back to playing this. It's a real downgrade relative to the experience offered by Hydra, which in a way is cathartic because it's like, oh yeah, you know, I really improved. But in another way, it's, oh fuck, I've got to play this. So, oh fuck, I've got to play this. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a little bit of fun, that we can't enjoy ourselves, that we can't add a little bit of value to the experience of playing this campaign and really break down this campaign. In a way, this analysis, this breakdown of Inconsummate is kind of cool in that it allows me to add a lot more context to a campaign that I haven't really thought about in a while, like this version of it, right? And it hopefully adds a little bit of value to the project itself outside of what the project itself offers, because it doesn't offer that much, honestly. But yeah, cool stuff, cool musing. Okay, let's go. Mission 4, the Harvest. Any initial rant on the Harvest? Do I have anything that comes to my mind? I feel like maybe the mission title here is kind of lame, actually, because I was talking about the power of names in the previous video. Talked a lot about that, and I do feel like maybe this title could have been more interesting. I mean, at least you're wondering what is being harvested, and, you know, is it an event or something? So there are some questions that get asked, but it definitely doesn't feel like it gets tied in as much. Whereas, like, I really feel like Sins of the Follower was quite thematic, given if you buy into the whole Goska versus Raider thing, there is a cool element there where Goska's like turning against his fellow man. And even though he's not the leader of the Zerg, he's following Tuzor's orders, he's still sinning in there. You know, like there was something going on there. In a similar way to, I guess, Act of God, but obviously that was... Like, both of those maps have a lot of problems with the way that they were executing some of their ideas, and the gameplay itself, of course, which is the most important thing. But on the topic of names, at least I feel like they did better than Praetor's Fall. And now here we are with the Harvest, and it doesn't feel all that spectacular, we'll say. So, yeah. There you go. I don't know. That's all I got for you right now. I guess the development of this mission was a little bit different. In that I was... This was like... Basically, whenever I would finish a map, it would buy me, I think, like 3 or 4 days before I had to get the other one released. And something happened in the development of To Free the Beast that I'll talk about when I get to that video, or that map in that video. But I remember releasing this and thinking, okay, I've got, you know, a couple days to finish up my draft of To Free the Beast, to send it to Jay Barino for his playthrough. And something amazing happened. I'll get into that later. A little hint, a little teaser for the future. It was pretty epic, though. All right, we'll just get into it. Whatever thoughts I have will come to me as I remember the mission. I do remember this mission being kind of stupid with all of the AI using the same color, which I didn't really touch on in the previous map, but I should, and I will during the gameplay of this. The Harvest. Gorn goes unexpectedly silent. Tuzor has a startling revelation. Strontium becomes unstable. Strontium was supposed to be the chosen one, dude. I don't remember where that stinger came from, the slow droning. I'll have to think about that. It's probably in the development files somewhere.
The Magnate is in shambles, infested. It will not respond to my orders. And Gorn, I can no longer sense the cerebrate. It is as if their connection to the swarm has been severed.
Just as we were finishing off the Terran forces, I felt a shriek of pain inside my head. If that was enough to stop me in my tracks, I can only imagine the effect it had on Strolium.
Fortunately, you are not as integrated with the swarm as the Magnate. I need you to find Gorn and their compatriot. Take what is left of Strolium's swarm and lead them to the Temple of Harundal.
What? You want me to lead an army of Zerg?
I did not expand your psionic capacity just so you could read Terran minds, Gaska. You are fit to lead the Magnate Swarm. Investigate the temple. Find Gorn. This invasion cannot succeed without him.
As you say, Cerebrit.
Trying to increase the romantic sexual tension between Tuzor and Gaska, apparently. One thing I will say is this briefing moved a lot faster than some of the others. And not just because there was less content overall, but like I do feel like the pacing of the voice acting improved a bit. Still way too slow. Like if this is supposed to be a panicked meeting, like at the risk of boomering myself, if this is supposed to be an emergency meeting, because I've literally never played Among Us, so I don't know anything about that. But if that's what this is supposed to be, then Tuzor's voice is a little sus. Vent, please. So anyway, boomer aside, moving on. I do think that so this mission has that aspect, or this briefing had that aspect of Tuzor and Gaska having that conversation where they're butting heads, and like Gaska's like, "You want me to lead an army of Zerg or whatever?" I feel like the acting needed to be more like he needed to sound more offended, or like maybe not offended, maybe like some sort of negative emotion other than just like he sounds like he doesn't really believe what Tuzor's saying, but like he's like incredulous in a way, like he can't believe he would suggest that. But there needed to be more of like an emotional thing as opposed to just surprise. You know what I mean? So like there had to be more than that going on in that transmission. And Tuzor's response is basically just like exposition about the fact that Gaska's psionics were expanded, which if you know things about infested Terrans or like Zerg in general, like it shouldn't be that much of a leap. So given that Strolium was the one who was repeatedly ad nauseum told by Gaska to send him troops, it still does make some level of sense. We haven't seen Gaska lead Zerg by himself, but it still feels kind of lazy on my behalf to have just said, here's your like here's your content or whatever. Like, here's your fucking Gaska leading Zerg for the first time. And, it's just because he's got an expanded psionic capacity. Like, at least if there was some demonstration of this power beforehand, like if he had routed Zerg, like ordered Zerg to do something, and then like that could have been an interesting element. Again, it still would have been a movie scene instead of a gameplay scene. But if in the first mission, in the micro section, Gaska's like telling Zerg to do stupid shit, or like ordering them to do stuff, and then they start doing stuff in like that are in contradiction to his orders, and it's like, oh, what? Why are the Zerg doing that? But he can't like say anything because he doesn't want to let the cat out of the bag for the Terrans. But he, in his mind, he's thinking like, what the fuck? I'm telling them to do something and they're doing something else. And that could be like, oh, that's Strolium controlling them, and he's more powerful than Gaska is at controlling Zerg. So that would have done so many more things in terms of illustrating the power of these individuals and actually showing content like that. I don't know how you would write dialogue that would fit that. You wouldn't want to inner monologues and thinking emojis, but there would be some way to do it in that context that would be beneficial, I think. And then if you take a step further from that and you consider the whole idea of Gorn being important for the invasion, we don't know why. Like that's that invasion hangs in the balance line at the end of the third mission. And now here, this invasion cannot succeed without him. It's like story writing 101 or script writing 101, where you're writing dialogue that is establishing things and stating them as fact without actually giving you reason to believe them. That is a main flaw here, because the player should be incentivized to recover Gorn because Gorn was a really useful ally. You know, they should want Gorn to be their ally again because they were that useful. And they should be able to see how impactful Gorn can be on the battlefield. And they should be able to feel like if once they find Gorn, once they get him operational again, and once everything clears up in that way, that they will be more secure in their next engagement. Like maybe the mission after, like they play alongside Gorn for a couple maps, and then there's the third map, for example, maybe that's the mission where Gorn isn't there, and Gorn's not an AI ally, right? And so like that's the mission where you really feel his absence, and you're like, oh shit, this mission's much harder without Gorn. If only I had Gorn. And then you get to this mission, and it's like, oh, we got to go get Gorn because he was so useful in the first two missions or the first mission that I had him in or whatever. So like I'm incentivized now, and I'm on board, and nobody needs to tell me that he's important to the invasion. Because I already saw that and I experienced that firsthand. So I'm all in. Like that's what the player would be thinking, I think, generally speaking, if I had done my job correctly here and presented it in a better way. But obviously I didn't. And like that would have been a way to change that up. Also, I think I commented on this in my Starcraft LP. But why are the objectives, like behind the objectives, there's just this ball sack? It's so distracting. Find Gorn. Goska must survive. Plus, plus, plus! I only have to do it twice, but I really like smashing it, so... Nice.
I'm in position, Tuzor.
Reasonable.
There's no sign of Gorn or the other Cerebrate. I have yet to encounter any Protoss.
Continue your search in Vesti. The Cerebrates will be here.
I really like the... I'm pausing my game to give me objectives. I really like the fucking other Cerebrate, Gorn's compatriot, etc., etc. It's really funny. I don't know why I like it so much. Just like so incompetent. Just give him a name, make him a character, or remove him entirely. Like that's the case where I was very clearly like self-limiting by remaining tethered to the main story. You know what I mean? Like definitely could have done something better there. I'm also pretty sure I what was that campaign that I rage quit on?
Require more minerals.
Yeah, that could have been there. I think it was Torn, right? Or yeah.
As you will. Cerebrate, there are hostile Zerg.
Zerg here.
What? The only broods from our swarm
Oh,
were from
no.
Gorn and their
Not Gorn and their ally.
Well, if they are under their command, it seems the Cerebrates no longer see us as friendlies.
God, what have you done? I am unable to seize control of the renegade Zerg. Do not let them bar your way. Find the Cerebrate. Find answers.
Understood.
Understood.
What do I do in this situation? See, nerd. I wasn't expecting the lurker to actually successfully burrow there. I thought I would get him with my grenade, but I was too slow. I'm still drinking my coffee. Wow, lagging. Need a spore, and then I think we're done over on that side. I do already have lurker aspect, which is nice. I was so nice to myself back in the day. Alright.
Ready.
Ready indeed. So yeah, there's Zerg here all over the fucking place. I don't know why there's like leftover
Directive.
fucking whatever this is. But we definitely need to go secure some more resources. So. Get! Dude, I've got a burst rifle or something. I don't even know what would be a good corollary. What's a good CS:GO gun that's like Goska's gun? Tell me.
Moving.
Vote in the comments below.
Understood. Immediately.
Utterly eviscerated, of course.
Understood.
Hi.
Moving.
RNG!
As you will.
Perfect.
Ready.
Remember for a while the stun didn't actually do damage, so if you did stun you actually did less damage, which was really confusing to a lot of people.
Directive. Immediately.
Hi.
As
Ah!
understood.
Perfect. Oh shit, they just got +1 carapace. Before I got +1 carapace. You can tell that when the stun hits because it's the blue marker.
Ready.
It's a nice little visual distinction, I guess.
Immediately.
Alright, well, you have fun there.
Directive. As you will. Orders.
Holy shit, they actually have some upgrades.
Directive. Your will. Understood.
Alright, let's just go and attack them normally, I guess. We need money. We need an excuse to build more hatcheries, and we can't do that as macro hatcheries, or we'll run out of money. You know what I mean? Oh, okay. I like how I was just, like, casually attacking this shit. This whole time. Whatever. If only I had a basilisk. If only I had... Brutal.
Understood.
Oh no, I'd stunned my own overlord.
They're not even harvesting.
Oh, I forgot about
Almost
that.
completely focused on attacking us. I've never seen them behave this way.
The swarm only becomes feral when it is without direction. The cerebrates must have rescinded control of their brood. But why?
It may be a blessing in disguise. The less resources they mine, the more they leave behind.
Indeed.
Alright, we'll go ahead and take this. I like how they just have all of these units sitting here. I think there's some trigger to... like change some... like make them all run out and charge at you or something. Once you There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I think there's some trigger that, like, once they lose enough structures in an area, they fuck off. But I don't fully remember. Oh, we can get Hive, guys! Let's get melee for our Sunkens. Pretty psychotic that I'm getting an upgrade purely based on it upgrading my static defense. So I'll go ahead and wall off this side with a Queen's Nest. Alright. Let's go ahead and clear that. Casca's pretty fucking low. Just saying. What's happening? Hey. Rude. Brutalized. Oh, that guy wasn't in the control group, idiot. The whole dramatic irony of Tuzor not realizing things about how, like, what happens to Gorn and all that. I get why I did it. I get the motivation behind doing it. But it is actually a plot hole because Zaz already died at this point, so everybody should be aware.
The Zerg have mined away most of these minerals. We'll need to get by on whatever they left behind.
Your hatcheries do not require much upkeep in Fist.
Holy fuck. How much tutorialization did I actually do?
But be wary of the hostile swarms. We still do not know what you're up against.
Right.
I feel like the dialogue is like, there's got to be better reasons to have that kind of dialogue, you know what I mean? Oof, Oof. Hi. This is the kind of experience that when you have it, you're like, oh, maybe I should be bringing my hero to the front lines to get rid of some of this stuff, just so that I don't have the, oh yeah, this actually held up pretty well. But yeah, just so that I don't have, like, some issue where... Hey. I, like, run out of money because I lost too much stuff. Oh, check this out. We're just killing this and then we'll leave, I guess. Not ensnare! Oh no! I didn't even stun him. Fuck you, RNGesus. Wait, I did actually completely forget about... What? You? Oh shit! It's okay, I think we can pretty easily get rid of this. Where the fuck are the rest of my units? What is going on over here?
Understood.
Try that one again, huh? Huh?
Ready.
Anyway.
Immediately.
Yeah, I guess we could just target the bottom shit. The white Zerg are pretty, I want to say harmless, but I know they will eventually get some number of men. Mass up over there in case I get attacked. Still can't believe we're not allowed to macro formations in. Pretty ridiculous. Perfect. I like how they basically do not defend. It's really weird. I am going to need to start building overlords again, though. What the fuck? I think the Nidus can outspawn units. As goofy as that sounds. I guess we'll just attack move there. Notice how I'm just, again, doing all of this off of, like, one control group, right? Brutalized. The, other sort of component to this, too, though, is they will have more survivability, I guess, the longer the game goes up, because of the fact that they do the, they do have the upgrades for... What do you call it? Colony survivability. So they have like the melee damage and whatnot. Right now they're only at +1, but that carapace still affects the armor values of the... Whatever it's called. colonies. I don't know why I can't string together sentences. There's one more spire that's further up. Where's the? I'm sure there's another sunken somewhere. There is also. I think there's still. This still happens. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure there's a Crouching Tiger hidden Ultralisk cavern somewhere. That
We're making progress against these renegades, Tuzo, but there's still no sign of the Protoss. We have yet to make contact with Gorn or their ally. I'm beginning to doubt the Cerebrits' claims.
You will complete your mission regardless, Infested. Once the Cerebrits are found, your concerns will be allayed.
Let's just hope my patience lasts that
Do not forget your place, Gaska. It was I who made you a part of the Swarm. And I will not tolerate insubordination from an underling.
I brought you into this world, now take you out.
Cerebrit. If the Protoss have survived this place,
Oh, I missed a
doing
cutscene.
a very good job of hiding. All the structures I've seen look like they're ready to crumble.
Stay alert. What Gorn said can be trusted. The Firstborn would have gone to great lengths to keep the Swarm from their temple. They will be.
Oof, they've researched Ensnare. Oh, there was an Ultralisk over there or something. I'm just gonna very slowly take up some of these areas. I'm not gonna bother trying to have too much upkeep or anything. Here's the Ultralisk cavern. I'm pretty sure it spawns. No. Hydralisk looks like it's coming over here to try to ruin my day. I guess we can take some drones from here and transfer them over. At least there are more bases, generally. It's just kind of annoying to have them all mine out in 5 seconds. There's one more Nidus Canal over there somewhere. I still don't know what their upgrades are looking like. Oh, I misclicked every single Zergling. I still only have one Carapace. And only one melee, okay. So their Sunkens aren't going to be hitting too hard yet. I can fight through the Ensnare, I think. We're getting somewhere now, boys. We're actually allowed to play the game a little bit, which is nice. Although I do feel like an AI mining with like no drones at some of these bases. That's just the Zerg life, though. Alright. It's a pain in the dick to attack into white from the south, so I'm gonna go the other way for now. Just from memory, anyway, it was not very pleasant at all. Oh, I just fucked up my control groups. And that led to a lurker burrowing. Ensnare, by the way. hold on. What's going on here? Alright, I think we're fine. No worries. Stop doing that. Alright, so this is... Well, you know. Ah, cool. See you later, upgrade. The read for the structures actually providing upgrades is pretty big. Can't believe nobody else ever did anything like it. Well, I won't say nobody else. There was that Revolution mod or whatever that tried to do something like it, from what I remember. Alright, I think I'll, oh boy. Back up. Oh, my ensnare. Oh, now I'm getting broodlinged. That's not good. If Brown's active, we might be fucked. I passed some invisible location, I think. That triggered him. I guess it could also be that he just has the ability by default, but I don't really fully remember. Dude, fuck off, seriously. Now he's definitely active. Might be Doom.
Our forces are under attack.
Alright, we definitely need to get our dicks in a row here. Actually, this isn't too bad if we can set up some lurkers over there. And control that choke point. Something's gravely wrong. Some of these fucking units. Why? Seriously, what is going on? Why do I keep doing that? Worker uprising! Okay, bye. Brown doesn't use very many air units generally, so... Okay.
Cerebrate, I've encountered a proper hive cluster. They seem much more organized than the rest of the renegades. Are they responding to your commands?
No, but they appear to belong to Gorn's ally. Do not let them stand in your way.
Very well.
Ensnare this, bitch! Okay. I guess they listen.
Directive. Immediate. As you will. Moving. As you will. Understood. Directive. Immediate.
Fuck you, idiot.
As you will.
You gonna mine that mineral field, or?
The hive cluster is under attack.
Must be fucked up.
Our forces are under attack.
This Queen's Nest is, I think, the only Queen's Nest that purple has. but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, we should be able to just attack them now. I'm sure they'll all snare me a million times. Goodbye.
Forces are under attack.
Yeah, they must not have that much left if their last defense is some fucking lurkers. Famous last words, I know. What's happening? Okay, as long as Gosh can save. Ay, ay, ay. Ensnare plus lurkers. It's just queens and lurkers, boys, that's it. I actually like lurkers a lot as like a conceptual unit, but their name is so fucking stupid. And the AI obviously are so dumb with them. So. Also, if we take a look at some of this, check this out. Come on, this one. 742, right? Oh, it's still 742. Oh, that's crazy. How'd that happen? Who could have guessed? Almost like this product is held together with tape. Yeah, they've got tier 2 Carapace already, which is pretty annoying. They probably have tier 2 melee if I had to guess. Yeah, they do. Their Sunken's hit like a truck.
This cluster has been taken care of, so Gorn has yet to make contact.
Lay claim to whatever resources they've left behind, and continue your investigation.
Hey.
Whatever has transpired here cannot be allowed to happen again.
Oh, my ensnare. Oh, my ultralisk. I don't know where that queen is trying to go, but it's pretty funny. Bye.
The hive cluster is under attack.
I'm sure whatever is happening over there is completely fine, and I am okay with it. Wait. No. That was a drone escort challenge. Mission passed. Plus respect. Bro. Can't believe I don't have a single fucking resource field. There will be like a guardian or something that come by at some point, I think. From what I recall. How embarrassing. Hi. They're still on 1-1. Fine by me, dude. Oh, there's a guardian. Very convenient that I didn't have to do anything to deal with that. I think these guys start out at 2-2, so don't be surprised by any strange behavior. I'll just pop this extractor and move on. There is still one unaccounted for threat, which is the sunken colony over there. right in.
Ready.
Get over there, I guess.
Orders.
Necron.
Ready. Orders. Immediately.
I like how I somehow managed to fat finger all those. All the same. Don't worry, some of my drones will still get through. I think I guarantee you he kills 2 drones. I was right. Check me out, dude. Oh, good job. Didn't even expect that one. Fucking idiot. Fucking idiot. You fucking idiot.
Directive.
My directive is for you to be a fucking idiot. And I see you followed those orders quite well. Gaska. I require more Vespine gas. Gaska. And Vespine. I was just thinking I needed more lurkers, so kind of sucks that I'm already out of gas. Right. Let's go, go, go. Let's go, guys. Can't wait until multi-building select is added so I can actually play this race. Oh, I finally got 2-2. Funny how they basically... Well, I guess no, that's not true. They were on a very discombobulated 2-1 for a while. I think they had only 2 on range for the longest time. Fuck that queen. Oh my god. And then you come back? Die. By my enemy. Alright. Get over here. You guys are just gonna move up a little bit closer. We're gonna get you to Hi. We're gonna get you to high. What is even going on over here? That's my guy, dude. Oh, hello. I accidentally also have an overlord over here. Just rallied, I think. I swear it was calculated. This will end well. Oh, those are my lurkers. I thought it was my Hydras being killed by enemy lurkers, but I was wrong. There's another Ultralisk spawning zone somewhere. And just saying that makes me feel dirty. This is the right move to make, in case you were wondering. You walk into the lurker, not away from it. There you go. There you go. It's just grindy. Thankfully, we've already conquered any quote-unquote challenge that there might have been. I know it seems hard to believe, but... Did you even see me, you map hacking piece of shit? Oh, there's a crouching tiger, hidden hydra. Ugh. Barely saved that man's life. One more Zergling hit and he would have not died. Nice squished spire. And by nice, I of course mean ah!
Our forces are under attack.
Hi. Rude! I'm trying to kill the last main purple base, and this is what I get. Fuck that queen! Ah! Fuck that guardian! I'm amazed my units didn't just spin. Random spore colony. Random overlords. You have nowhere to run. This is like a... What Inconsummate really is, in many respects, is a macro version of a micro map. You know how like those micro maps all make you grind through some shitty environment? Oh my god. That's basically what this stuff is. I like how that lurker was stuck in mineral fields. Have you guys considered not dying horrible deaths? I am sure it is a good move. Don't worry. He's friendly. Harmless. Wow, look at all the money I have. Holy shit. Hey, whatever you're doing is very rude. Ah! Zerg here! Dude, that's my attack force. I'm not killing that. Hold on one sec. No! JK, I'll just do this. Bet you guys thought I was screwed there.
Tuzor.
What is it, infested? Have you found Gorn?
Affirmative. What's left of them.
What?
The Protoss have found a way to destroy them. Gorn didn't relinquish control of their brood. Nor did their ally. They're dead, Tuzor.
Impossible!
Be that as it may, the Cerebrits have fallen, and you could be next.
The Swarm will not suffer these transgressions. The Firstborn must fall. Find the Temple of Harundal. Pillage it. Let not even a single Protoss endure your attack.
As you command.
Avenge Gorn. Like, we haven't even actually seen that the Protoss exist. And yes, we now have the giant force. Man, this is the first time I've been above 100 supply ever, I think. Where my homies at? Do I only have one spire, really? The fuck? The whole time? Guess so. Oh, I think I just got, yeah, I just got slurp. So, in case you're wondering what the fuck is going on here, it's just a classic case of me wanting a movie scene, I guess. That's the best I can come up with initially.
Our forces are under attack.
I don't really have any air upgrades, so I'm just gonna go Guardians. Oh yeah, I never actually killed this base. That would be something to do.
Our forces are under attack.
Dude, I've got so many units. I do appreciate that the fucking whatever's going on here right now, I appreciate it. That's what I meant to say. Just the insanity of what has transpired here. I don't think there are any other Zerg hatcheries. I think everything else is just like shit that's been spawned in or whatever.
Your will. Ready. Orders.
Dude, holy damage.
Immediately.
Concussive, by the way.
As you will.
I do need to get into an Overlord soon.
The hive cluster is under attack.
As you will.
Oh yeah, we got all these units too. I guess it was kind of thematic that all that shit was going down with Brown, but I don't know why I decided to give control of Brown to the player. Probably because it's like fucking unreasonable to expect anything different at this point. Like it's a cool cutscene, but not really much else. There's not much depth to the whole scenario. You know? Definitely fucking weird ass cargo cult shit. Or not cargo cult. I don't even know what I'm fucking saying. Speak the English language while you micro units. Did I get him? Yeah. There's the Protoss. Unfortunately, there's no trigger to be like, what is my line of sight right now? Do I see units? Have I detected a unit of some kind? Fucking upgraded Sunkens are unkillable. Yeah, these Protoss don't even attack though.
Have congregated around their precious temple. Annihilate them!
Imagine
the Zerg
saying that.
have returned. The Dark Templar destroyed their leader. How is this possible? Leave your questions until after the Zerg are dead. To arms! Orders?
I don't even have Storm. Pretty embarrassing, IMO. I don't even think they have Reavers. What kind of Protoss doesn't have Reavers? Oh, there is a single Archon. It's kind of spooky. I've got no upgrades. Pretty epic. I figured that would happen. Figured like 80 Scourge would just slam into him and kill him in transit. Oh yeah, I forgot actually missile attack upgrades mean spore colonies are fucking strong, dude.
Your will?
Oh, you gotta kill the simulator as well? Any missing probes inside there?
The Protoss are no more.
Good. Gorn presumed that the location of the Judicators may be contained within their shrine. Verify that claim.
Understood. I will make for the temple at once.
Center view. Hey, I'm in the middle of a really important battle, okay? Worker Uprising Part 3. Last one ended poorly. Get him! Hey! Alright, well, we drove him off. We scared him off, dude. It's over.
Directive.
Also, the idea that you have to bring Goska to the beacon after all this, too. Like, what a fucking added insult to injury. TBH.
Immediately.
And the idea that the Judicator, like, location of the Judicators is stuck in here instead of being anywhere else. Like, why in a temple? And why in Todd's Green Earth? Why? Why any of this? Like, what?
Moving.
Okay, that's why Gorn decided to attack here, because he wanted to get at the leadership. It would have been much more impactful if, like, we had to go here to kill somebody, and that was the Protoss leading these Protoss, and, like that's one of the leaders that we got to kill, similar to Phoenix. Like, that would even be a callback in a way. Like, it would even be like, oh, reinforcing the idea that that's what we're here to do. Instead, we're here to do this.
Cerebrate, I've arrived at the temple grounds.
So it is a Terran who leads these abominations. I should have known that Kerrigan would not be the last of the Overmind's experiments.
What do you know of the Overmind, Protoss?
I know a great deal, Terran. I know that the Cerebrates that lead this army of horrors will soon be gone, slain at the hand of my brethren. Your masters have angered a terrible beast, one that will not rest until their entire misbegotten race has been slaughtered. You would do well to turn back here, lest you be swallowed up by a war you had no business participating in.
How do you know about...
Goska,
Cringe.
what is going on? Have you found the location of the Council Hall?
No, Cerebrate. I am still searching.
Search faster! You cannot afford delays. Not after what has happened this day. Return to the Yggdrasil when you have found the information.
Understood.
Yeah, if you compare that giant wall of text that Dark Templar just delivered to the giant wall of text that Goska delivered on multiple occasions in the first map, the pacing is definitely better, so at least I did improve in that regard. Also, I didn't point it out there, but there was a fucking massive terrain block in the temple immediately above the victory sigil thing, so you can go back and look at that if you like. But, yeah, I mean... That's anime right there. That whole engagement with the Dark Templar is just anime. It's supposed to be like a sequel bait in a way. Not really like bait. It's supposed to be set up for a sequel, but the redraft of that conversation looks completely different in my mind. I don't know if I've actually completed a redraft, but the idea is that Dark Templar is supposed to be an agent of a greater faction that is completely OG, right? Completely fan fiction faction, as opposed to, sorry, not OG, OC. There you go. Sorry, getting my fan fiction terms mixed up here, guys. Basically, it's like a faction that was not in the original lore, right? And so, like, that character is actually a character. But for him to just approach some dude, right? Like, presumably he's an important character. And presumably he's got some value to his organization, and presumably he cares about his life. And so since Goska had to be on an overlord to get to that position in the first place, the idea that he would just anime behind him, teleport behind him, or whatever the fuck he did, he just walks behind him presumably, and then talk to the guy and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna confront you, when you could like stun grenade me, you could fucking like just have an overlord that sees me. You obviously just attacked here and destroyed a bunch of shit here with a bunch of Zergs. So, like, there's no reason for him to be in that position. It's just there because I wanted a little engagement. And while I, even back then, looked at anime as a pejorative term to describe really overdramatic and goofy scenes that don't make any sense, I still was able to create one of my own. Like, just the whole idea, like it's almost like a 16-year-old's idea of what's epic, or a 12-year-old's idea of what's epic in a way. It's like super embarrassing, honestly. The fact that like you go back in and you think like, oh, here's an example of fucking, what's it called? It's like that psychotic situation where you have like some guy who knows everything somehow, and all the other characters are just enthralled by how epic he is. Like, how do you know about that? What do you know about? Oh my god, you're blowing my mind with all your knowledge. Like that, it wasn't quite that overdramatic in that scene, but it was borderline. It was getting there. You know what I mean? Like the fact that both questions posed to the Dark Templar were related to how he knows about stuff or what he knows about stuff, and then he has this like giant, massive text and then leaves in the middle of his conversation. Like, so many better ways to present that information. I think now, if I was going to try to recreate something like that, a scene like that, it would probably be in a briefing as opposed to in a mission ending sequence. But even if it was in an end sequence, like I created some actor-based units that are only there for, like, I wouldn't have heroes in the gameplay. But if I created some, like, a Goska unit and a Dark Templar unit for the sake of having those characters be on screen in the middle of an on-screen cutscene, I could have, Goska approach the temple, maybe even enter the temple, and have that be like a scene where he's inside the temple with some Zerg, and there's some killing or whatever, and then, again, that's why I think it would be better served as a briefing as opposed to an in-game cutscene per se. But you could still do something like that, and then you could actually have him like breach the area, kill some people, and then like one of the people is like surrenders himself or whatever. And somehow piques Goska's interest, so he like doesn't kill him, and there's like a conversation, and then it's revealed that guy's an agent of whoever the Dark Templar was. So even though he dies, like even though Goska kills him or whatever, or maybe like he barters his freedom or whatever, but like there could be some information there, because what's supposed to have happened in that scene as well is that the Dark Templar eventually provide Goska with the location of the Judicators, which happens in the briefing of the next mission, and so the scene almost seems kind of contradictory to what happens afterwards, which I think is probably because of the fact that it's very subtle, I guess. So it's not necessarily contradictory, but it definitely feels weird. And I think that that's probably just the result of all of the insane shit that I was rushing out the door for the sake of Jay Bruno's playthrough, right? So, like, again, like my desire to facilitate that kind of thing instead of worrying about the content's quality was a big deal. Like something that I didn't really cover when I was explaining the whole Jay Marino thing, I think in the second missions video, is that I'm sure he would have played my campaign like a month later or something, like whenever he was done with whatever campaign he wanted to play afterwards, right? He could have played my campaign whenever he was done, but for whatever reason, in that moment, I was like, I need it now! And so I was just dropping this shit way early. I think it would have been a much more interesting take on things had I released it all at once. But I also see the value in releasing it piecemeal, because it creates this like perpetual hype almost, where you're checking back for more info and like, oh, did another map drop yet? It's just not very good for the quality of the content, unless, and this is a really weird thing to do, unless I decided I would drop the first couple maps initially, but I had actually completed the whole campaign and I just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't release the other maps. Like if I released maps 4, 5, and 6 a week apart, following the release of the project, even though those maps were actually done. It's not like they weren't done. They would be in theory ready to go, but for what, just for the sake of building hype or whatever, I would delay the release. That doesn't seem reasonable though. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like there's a reason to do that outside of the marketing angle. And so I think I was just way too, hopped up on the idea of doing that for whatever reason. So there's some thoughts for you. Shall we take a look at the map? I actually feel like the layout was a definitive improvement over some of the previous maps, but I do feel like there's still some very obvious issues, so we'll talk about that. So looking at this map, obviously the resource areas are the reason why, I think anyway, the reason why one of these mineral fields, I think it was this one, no. Maybe it was this one, and I had mined it fine, but there was something weird where my drone stopped mining and just didn't go and finish that mineral field off. I think that was related to too many start locations nearby, but obviously I didn't know that was what created resource areas, so I was as dumb as Blizzard was. which is sad to say. But yeah, there's some locations that you'll see, like Gateway Nidus is related to the Nidus Canal spawn. We've got West Pool Nidus, we've got South Cavern Nidus, and Ultra Cave. And so that sort of stuff is like where there's like small groups of units that will get thrown at you, which did reinforce the idea that this was a renegade AI, or a feral AI rather. I call them renegades in the script, but realistically speaking, they should have just been called feral. There's something else that was related to the script that I wanted to talk about too, that I just remembered because I said the word script. In the dialogue for this map, there's a line where Goska says they're not even harvesting these minerals, and then immediately once you build a hatchery at one of these bases, he says something to the effect of the Zerg have already mined a lot of the resources here. I understand that those two things are not mutually exclusive, but the phrasing made it seem like he was contradicting what he literally just said. The phrasing, the writing could have been better, such that maybe he says, it looks like they've stopped mining these resources only recently, or something like that, to indicate that there was an attempt at mining, but it's no longer happening. And that, I think, would have been a better way to do that, because obviously otherwise it's not actually mutually exclusive. The idea that, like, it's just implied that they stopped harvesting resources at some point, but I think it was a little distracting. And when you have dialogue events in the middle of gameplay anyway, it is quite distracting, especially if they're the duration of some of the events that happened here, where it really should just be like one or two characters talking, like one or two lines per dialogue event, I think. That way you don't distract the player too much. The other thing that I don't really understand the logic behind is why I decided that some Zerg would be, like, for one, none of these Zerg are hostile to each other, right? Purple is one player. He also, by default, owns the Protoss area. Just because I give them to the other AI at some other point. I don't remember what, when, where, or why, but I do. But yeah, the other thing is, like, I don't really get the logic behind some Zerg being more organized, like white or brown being more organized. Oh, as you can see, some of the future purple areas are also owned by brown initially, and they're only given over at various points. So, like, for example, there's Sector 2, upper right trip, which happens when you reach this area, and Sector 2, upper right, like, then gets given over to purple once you are in the area. So I made this location wide enough. I think, well, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I'm pretty sure that you could spot them as being brown units or brown buildings with an overlord positioned just right. Like, maybe if you did it like over in this area, you could probably spot that, and that's obviously kind of weird. But the other thing too is, like, the idea that you can just trigger additional bases accidentally by scouting is like such a betrayal of what the RTS mechanic really is about, right? It really hurts my fucking brain. And it definitely makes me, like, even though I want to scout out for more resources, like, I have the benefit of knowing where all the resources are. Also, I love these locations. I named them based on the amount of resources that were supposed to be perpetually set, which is hilarious to me. How embarrassing. But I do feel like it, you know, rather than punishing the player for scouting, right, there should have been a different approach to this entirely. There should have been I should have focused instead on, wow, reasonable. I should have focused instead on doing my best to, like, facilitate dynamic and periodic growth in certain areas so that the Zerg would grow in strength. And so my revision of this map, I never got anywhere in an actual sense of, like, updating the layout or remaking it, which I would have to do now because I do think the layout's bad. I'll get to my thoughts on the layout in a sec. But looking at this map, I definitely feel like a better angle to take would be to take, like, pretty much every base that is owned by one, like, every single individual hatchery, and have that be, like, its own AI. So that, like, they would probably be very short-lived. But the idea is, and they would be the same color, I think. Or some, like, a very, very similar color, if nothing else. So it would be difficult to read which ones were attacking which, you know? But I think that would be an acceptable thing to do under such circumstances. Also check out Ahmed's Outhouse. that gets removed to... It's something for AI, where there's basically like some AI script line that's like no towns jump academy, which means if I don't have an academy, jump to this block. And that is for, I think, researching or getting upgrades or something. It's like some extra tier. And basically, there's a bunch of different circumstances where I would want that to be the case. And I didn't have things like bring jump to detect units in a location. I didn't have things like any of the AI script extended commands. So I decided to use Ahmed's Outhouse. It's a staple of all maps, actually. So, pretty epic. Anyway, I was trying to think of what else was on my mind about the whole AI thing. But I do think that the AI could have been more interesting if it had actually played up the feral aspect and it was a giant free-for-all with like 12 fucking unique AI bases. But obviously you can't have that many players in a Brood War game, so the engine definitely limits it. And again, I don't really see the point of like having some AI that are more organized than others. I guess if they were like deliberately controlled by, they were previously controlled by Cerebrits, like Brown was, obviously, then it kind of makes sense in a way. But having White here behave in a similar fashion, I don't know, it just seems really weird. It's like schizophrenic almost, or contradictory to the rest of it. Like what we see from the Purple is like super like ad hoc, like all over the place, very chaotic, but still threatening in terms of sheer numbers. And so you do have to account for that. It's just that they're behaving stupidly for an RTS opponent, but they have like the number of pre-placed units. Like the scenario is gimmicked enough that it's still potentially a threat. It's just a very different kind of threat than what you're used to. And I do think that it's possible to attenuate the gimmicks with better design and better scenario design, better level design, better AI design, while also preserving the feeling, if that makes sense. Other than that, one of the other things I was thinking about as far as the layout goes is that I do feel like there's a lot of openings to a lot of areas, but it's very clear where I wanted to play favorites with the setup. And so like this is a horrible fight to take because of this tight ramp and the two sunkens. Maybe if you clear this out before the upgrade breakpoints hit, you can clear this out, and then they obviously won't rebuild them in the same locations if they rebuild them at all. And then you can march on, but there's 3 sunkens that have a really good angle over here on you, to the point where if you bothered to try to attack from here, I just feel like it would be suicide. So I definitely think the way easier approach is to do this, because you can hit a nice like spread of Hydras on them. Maybe if you go like Zerglings or something, it's a little bit easier. I also could have gone air this map, but I didn't. So I don't know how that would have changed things, but there also are a lot of spores. I guess Purple would have been particularly annoying since he hit +2 missile attacks pretty soon, and that does impact the spore colony damage, so that would have been pretty bad. Fighting Zerg, generally speaking, is pretty miserable in this campaign because of that, and it's very obvious that it's only a change that makes... That, like, it only works because most of the time it's you or your ally who have the benefit. But when you're fighting Zerg, colonies become so much more annoying to deal with, to the point where it's actually psychotic. So, level design-wise, though, I do feel like it was an improvement over the previous maps. I still feel like this being the only choke point to the rest of the map is bad, and goes hand in hand with that argument that I was talking about with the locations and like accidentally tripping certain things. It's like very clearly a scenario where you can just accidentally trigger the Cerebrit by flying an Overlord over here trying to scout. While the campaign does discourage you from scouting ever, this is still really bad, the idea that I could accidentally trigger that. Like, the whole point was, get a unit down here, and then you'll see what's going on. And, like, part of that is, like, deliberately scouting out this area and finding stuff. Whereas if you just have an Overlord, which you are encouraged to have for lurkers, and you accidentally fly it over here, you could trigger it accidentally, right? And for a cutscene or whatever that was supposed to be very impactful, I feel like it's kind of unfortunate that it went the way that it did, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, just some thoughts that I have on that. But I do think that aside from having some really questionable decisions on points of attack, in some areas having too many different paths to reach into, like not being very defensible, and then other areas being like the only pathway over here or whatever is pretty lame. This is a fucking miserable approach. If you ever actually wanted to kill Brown, it would be super miserable to attack him from pretty much any angle. I guess you'd want to go all the way around and attack him from the north. But at that point, you'd be walking away from the gimmick that gives you his base, so kind of pointless to do that. But yeah, that aside, I mean, you know, there's certainly some pretty obvious crippling flaws here. But and like a huge amount of wasted space over here, like in the entire top strip. The Protoss area is clearly an afterthought. At least that's what it plays like. And here's the tile bug that I was talking about, the stuff that's out of alignment. Super easy to fix, but I was apparently too incompetent to notice it. But aside from you know, the core issues that I outlined, I do think this is an improvement over the rest of the maps, and I was floating money all over the place this map because I actually could. You know, I had the ability to harvest resources, and obviously the AI are not particularly aggressive. It's just that you have to grind through them all. And that's why I said it's like a macro version of a micro map, because there's a million pre-placed units, and they don't necessarily, you know, they're not used, right? They're not used in a way that actually makes you feel like, oh, there's a lot to fear here. They're not used aggressively or proactively. They're just there to prevent you from winning immediately, right? So you have to grind through them, just like a micro mission has these units that are completely static and don't do anything. Now, there's a little bit less like static nature to the units here in a macro map, but it's not by much in this particular case because of the sheer number of pre-placed junk. So, that being said, hopefully that was a reasonable enough takedown of the map, and hopefully it was interesting enough talking about my thoughts for how to improve it and what to do differently. I definitely think that the layout would need to be completely redone now, but that's because I've learned so much in the past couple, like 3 years since this campaign came out, since this map dropped. It's been over 3 years now, so, you know, it's a magic number and all that. So, yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on the next Inconsummate video. There's another day, another video. So, bye!